Happy Tuesday, rain-soaked Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Idle Zone Syndicate, gang. What's up?
Not much.
How's
Chance of
everybody?
rain.
I think the streets are the new idle zone.
Yeah, that's for sure. Oh my, just our turn, Cranker.
Mm-hmm.
Man. Oh, good night. The guys are already loaded up. See, I knew Jack wouldn't be the first one tonight because he's at Roaring River catching trout.
Mm.
Yeah, so that sounds like fun.
I like to just sit there and relax. That'd be a good time.
That would be a good time. Oh, geez.
What's up?
Rain. More rain. Continued rain.
It'll all be okay.
It will be. Like we were just saying before the show started, in 30 days or less, we'll be hollering that we're dry and hot.
Mm-hmm.
The best part about it is if it gets too carried away, we all have at least a friend that's got a boat.
True enough.
You know?
Flotation devices are the most important thing right now.
Yes.
Speaking of which, Mr. ABA director, are you still fishing tomorrow?
We are. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because I got a little pop-up that said something wasn't connected, but I can see myself and I can hear myself, so I don't know what that was, but
Weird.
yes, we are fishing tomorrow. I am going to let the guys do like the future bass. Well, actually, they have to come pay and check in the morning, and then they can go put in wherever they want and be back at, lines out at 2:00, and we'll start weighing fish at 2:30, and they got to be back by 3 at the very latest. So we're going to do that. I mean, the lake's not bad because it's still coming up. They're not letting out. I mean, I looked a little bit ago, about an hour ago, they started letting out as much as was coming in. But up until about an hour ago, they were only letting out about half of what was coming in. So it was still coming up. So they can't let it come up much more. It's going to go over the dam.
Oh, my.
I mean, it's like 751 and a half, 752 right now. And 755, I think, is
55 and a half.
Top of the dam. So, yeah.
And they got a bunch of Neosho water that's going to run down that way, don't they?
Yeah, they're going to have to let it out pretty soon. They're not going to have a choice.
Have you went down there and checked it out? Have you ever went down there and looked at it?
No.
When it's rip roaring out of there?
Mm-mm.
You need to go check it out. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I remember years ago when they had that big flood in like December, towards the end of December, they were flying a drone over it, and it was wild.
I remember when we had the floods in 93, or I think it was 93, everything in Kansas flooded and filled back up. And we lived up by Manhattan in Alma. And I remember Tuttle Creek being inches from the top of the dam.
Holy cow.
And they finally just had to open it. And they evacuated everybody below, downstream a ways, and they opened it. And the canyons that it made, I mean, you can go up there to this day, and I mean, it wasn't like it is now before 93. It cut a canyon down through there.
You guys ever seen Big Hill go over the emergency spillway?
No, I don't think so.
Uh-uh.
You know where it's at, right? It's in that pocket over there where the overlook is, and that
Mhm.
where that rock thing is, big old giant things on the other side of the road.
Yeah,
Where it's all chiseled out. That's the emergency spillway.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hmm.
I never
Yeah.
have either. I always thought that'd be kind of cool, but
Yeah.
Man, it would have to come up fast.
yeah, and the flood basin around there is not, not anything like a lot of different other lakes around the area. I mean, there's just very little actually goes into Big Hill, which is, I guess, good and bad. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I should probably stop right here and give a little disclaimer tonight. Mr. Crank and I are both in Hutchinson. And if you're watching your local weather, it's red dot time in Hutchinson. So we're just here as long as we can be. If my power goes out or his power goes out, that's pretty much it for the show. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that it skirts around and we don't lose much more power in town. I think there's still about 4,000 people in Hutch without power.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't lose power at all last night when it was blowing 85 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And then ours went out randomly at like 9 o'clock this morning when there was like nothing going on.
Somebody dropped a tree on your line or something.
That could be.
Hmm. Yeah.
As
Oh,
much as the ground's saturated, if the wind blows that heavy here, we're going to lose some big trees.
Hmm.
Yep, there's a lot of big ones down around me.
Hope
So-
it doesn't land on the camper.
amen to that. Well, John, how'd you and Noah do last night?
We caught fish. We didn't win or anything, but we caught fish and tried to go and do something I thought Noah could do. So we went and flipped bushes, and he caught a fish, and I caught a couple fish, and we got to weigh in, but we didn't win anything. But I was pretty impressed. I mean, he flipped bushes pretty darn good. And if I'd tell him to put it in a hole, he'd put it in the hole.
Sweet.
And he did well. I was pretty impressed for his first time out there. We had kind of a train wreck on our biggest net job, but I think I got that one on camera, so we'll post that at some point. But he had a good time.
And then we had an awkward silence.
Just get it out of the way.
I was gonna send Kyle a picture of us at the weigh-in. But yeah, I mean, I asked a buddy of mine to go, and he couldn't go. And then I asked Noah's dad, and he was leaving getting up really early this morning to go to Washington, D.C., so he didn't want to go. And I said, well, how about one of the boys? Do they want to go? And he texted back and said Noah would love to go. So
Is that the jackpot that goes out of Serenity?
yeah, I think there was only like 6 boats that entered last night. Monday's usually a little lighter. I do think it took, I don't know. I haven't looked at the website. I guess I could look at that. Tell you what it took to win.
Do they still have jackpots that run out of Bernice?
There's a Saturday nighter. out of Wolf Creek.
How come that fish has got a weird looking eye on it? Is that thing on the verge of death?
No, it was fine. I don't know what the deal with that fish was.
He's
It
got
was-
a little golden eye look on him.
It does. I noticed that last night too. It was very lively.
Maybe he had a transplant.
Maybe he just saw that gleaming Ranger boat when he was coming to the surface and give you the old stank eye.
I bet that's what it was.
Probably. Let's see. Last night results. Had 7 boats. Crawford Brantley and Mike Gilbreth won with 11.24, 3 fish. And second was 10.75 with a big fish of 4.14.
Well, what's it going to take to win tomorrow then?
Probably 20 pounds or 22 pounds. I'm guessing.
How many boats do you expect?
Probably close to 20. But there's a jackpot Saturday night out of Wolf Creek every week. They started this past week. They went out of Red 11 this past week because we had Toes in the Grand festival, and they had the boat races in Wolf Creek, so the ramp was closed this weekend. So they went out of Red 11, and there's a 3 fish limit too. I think a lot of Missouri guys fish that one, and it's a little bit longer. It's like a 7 or 6 to midnight tournament. So I don't think they had that many boats last week. Everybody, I mean, I wouldn't have fished it either. I wouldn't have wanted to run around in the dark with all the wood floating around.
That's what I was going to ask. Is there still a lot of debris going on?
I mean, I wouldn't want to run in the dark. It's not bad. Like I said, they haven't been pulling it, so it's just been kind of floating around.
Yeah.
But they've been pulling it, but not.
Yeah.
More has been coming in than going out, so it really hasn't been ripping down. But I wouldn't have wanted to run around in the dark. So we quit. The Monday and Thursday nighters are supposed to be 6 to 9, and it was 6 to 8:40 last night, so that we could all get back to the ramp before dark, which we did.
So where do you put in at when you fish those tournaments?
I mean, there ain't much choice to put in right now. I put in at there's a little ramp in Honey Creek that I use a lot. I would have used Bernice probably, but that little ramp I use at Bernice is underwater, and the South Winds is usable, but it's like at the top of the ramp at South Winds.
You use that little ramp on the north side of Honey or on the south side of Honey?
South side,
Okay.
the one by Oren's house.
Buffalo Shores.
Yeah. I mean, it's right now you're just backing off the road
Yeah.
there. But I mean, even the road is nicer than most ramps around here. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty nice ramp, actually. There's no parking.
No, that's the only bad part about that.
I mean, I'll probably put in there tomorrow. I imagine a lot of the guys will go down to catch them or,
Yeah.
South Winds. I imagine a lot of them will go down there. So, but yeah, so there's the Monday night, Thursday night, both Serenity Point jackpots, and then there's a Saturday night, and that one's kind of I mean, it's a good bunch of guys, but they don't tell you who won. They just give you the weights. They don't want, like, nobody wants you to know who won. Like, they don't list the name. It's very strange.
Hmm.
It's kind of
I'm
odd.
like,
How do
It
you
is.
post a tournament and not know who won?
oh, they know who won. They won't post it.
Oh,
They won't post the name. They'll post the weights. Like if you go to the Grand Fishing Report .com on Facebook, they post it. And it's Jeff Graham that does it. And super nice guy. But he just gives the weights, and then the guys will comment who won. And he's like, we don't have permission to release that name. The guy doesn't want us to. And I'm like, whatever, dude, man, just tell us who won.
it's a little odd.
And, I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like that serious.
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
Oh, geez.
It's almost
Danny,
like,
Danny, you got KBN get away with that? Do they?
Dude. If they didn't post the results in 2.6 seconds after the conclusion of weigh-in, it's crime against nature.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, he posts the results. He just doesn't give the names
Huh.
of who won. And I'm like,
We'll just hope that it's not the same person winning all the time.
I
guess-
think
Maybe you'll never know.
they used to post them,
Hmm.
but I think it's just whenever a certain person wins, they don't want it. I mean, you ought to be able to figure it out if you paid enough attention, I guess. Because if I ever win one, I'm going to tell him, post that I won. I want people to know I freaking won a dang tournament.
You didn't throw back the winning fish.
Yeah. It's unusual, man. I don't need to be hiding in anonymity.
Oh, man.
fished-
Rain.
Had the Bone Creek ABA this last weekend. I didn't do well in that one either. I mean, I think I got like 5th or 6th place, but not good enough to do anything. Brett
who won?
Reinhardt had a good tournament. Had 16 pounds, I think. Throwing a big worm out in the deep trees, and I was out there fishing, a couple trees behind him, just moving on down following each other around like everybody does. But I couldn't get him to eat the big worm, and I was throwing a little bit smaller bait, but I was catching a little bit smaller fish too. So I don't know. I did catch one, actually caught one scoping
There you go.
in about 4 feet of water.
Shaking that sluggo.
I
Slugger.
was just coming down a tree row, and I was like, there's a fish. That looks like a fish. And I flipped over there to him, and he moved towards it. And I shook it a few times, the old tube, and he ate it. And I caught him. And I had a co-angler. So me and Brian were leading the friggin' points in that thing. And I drew a co-angler. We had 3 co-anglers. And I'm like, well, now I'm splitting my fish with the co-angler. Well, Brian drew a co-angler too. So we both had a co-angler. So that was even. It wasn't no excuse there. And I did beat Brian, but not by enough to overtake the points. That points deal is counting your 4 best sounds good until it hurts you, like it's hurting me right now.
Well, you just have to have 4 best better than everybody else.
Yeah, but I would almost rather just let's count all our points, and if I got a bad one, I got a bad one. If you got a bad one, you got a bad one. You know, because I've had 4 decent ones and 1 bad one, and I got passed in points by Cody Goins, who finished like 5 places behind me Saturday.
For the simple fact that he did
Because
well in a tournament that had a fuller field than the one that you've done
Exactly.
well in. Yeah.
He won a 21 boat tournament, and I won, and I got second in 3 18 boat tournaments, so it's hurting me right now. It sounded good at the beginning of the year that I got to throw one out if I zeroed or something, which I did, but
I'm not saying this to be ornery, John. I'm saying this to be honest. Everybody needs to put pressure on that tournament director to get a schedule that promotes more boats.
yeah, I hear you.
Because when Becky and Moody and Eric was running that event, there was a chance to fish against a full field more often than there has been in the last couple years. Now I don't know the reason why.
He's probably watching, so you can put the
That's-
pressure on.
Hey, that's fine. We've known each other a long time.
I mean, we've had 2 decent turnouts in a row. The
But
last one was
what's-
really good because I think there was nothing else going on. So
The question that I have is why has the beginning of the year started out so slow?
I don't know. I have no idea. Why do you think? I was there.
Does everybody have to fish in late winter, early spring?
Yes. You got to fish somewhere. Doesn't have to be there.
Does everybody have to fish in late winter, early spring? Spread them out.
Yeah, I hear you.
Spread them out.
I mean, I didn't, but that's just because I got started late. I mean, my fish this division fished March, April, May, June, July, August. And then September's the 2-dayer. Next year, we'll probably do maybe in an October, November. And then maybe a March, April, May, June. Probably. Which is adding to your spring. And
Well, I'm pretty sure I know one of the reasons why the tournament director kind of crams them in the early spring and before the June 15 cutoff, and I get that.
yeah.
I enjoy weighing fish in too, obviously, but
when does the Bass Pass?
June 15 to September.
To what?
September 1.
September 1. And that takes away from a lot of good fishing.
Yeah.
I know historically, honestly, July and August have been 2 of the best months to fish at Big Hill. And
We're going to find out at the Frank Stone.
yes, we are. And I think I'd tell you it's going to be I think it'll be a hell of a lot better than what the weights and the fishing were last year. A lot better. It's kind of sucks that it has to be a paper event, but it is what it is.
Yeah. It'll be fun. It'll still be fun.
Yeah.
I see Devin.
Ha ha ha, Devin. That's funny.
What?
10
10 killer? So that 10 killer thing, I was getting very annoyed with Tommy and Davey and Mercer talking about how many fish they were catching, talking about how every angler caught a limit. Does anybody watching know what the tournament director put on that tournament for a length limit?
12,
Anybody.
wasn't it?
Anybody?
Is 10 killer a slot lake?
No.
What's the length limit on 10 killer?
14
14.
inches.
Do what?
14 inches.
But I know what
You know what they-
you said the length limit bass had. How did they do that?
Because they got, just like you do in Oklahoma, you get a permit and you put whatever the length limit you want on it. So what do they pick?
What?
12 inches.
12 inches for elite series anglers.
But hold on a minute. How do you depict what the length limit is?
Well, that's how
You
that's-
pick.
that's how
That's how the
permit works
in
now.
Oklahoma. I can
Oh
make
well, we decided
make-
we want
I
to go
can-
below the length limit.
it 10 inches on my Wednesdays tournaments if I want. I can make it
Or 6.
6 inches.
Really, I did not know that.
Yep.
Wow. That's mind-boggling that they were able to, they let them go below the length limit.
So, they kept talking about the average fish being 2.5 pounds or whatever. So there was a good percentage of the fish that were weighed in that were over 14 inches. But I guarantee you there were some elite anglers that weighed in a 12-inch fish in one of their 5.
Hey, you got to get them points.
Oh yeah, because
Yes. And which is,
there was a few of those 5 fish for 7 pounds bags.
yes.
Mhm.
And people weren't talking about that. I mean, you're dang right they should have all had a limit. It was a 12-inch limit.
That made good for broadcasting.
I mean,
At least there wasn't 10 foot of water in the willows.
it was a fun tournament to watch. And I am efforting a couple of those guys to get on the show. I don't know if any of you know this, but the communications person that at Bass, that I was dealing with, and he's only been there, he came from MLF, and I believe he just was there this year. He's gone already. And I was having trouble getting anything out of this guy, but the person that, and you may know her, Danny, but the person that is taking his place is Mandy Pascal, and she will be great. And I think she'll be better to work with, and I think we'll actually get some responses from Bass on getting some other guys on her show that I may not have their number. I got to get that from somebody.
Right.
And I wasn't getting it from the last guy, and I'm hoping we'll be able to get it from this. But trying to get Bob Downey on because he's a great guy and he had a good tournament and was catching them in the willows, and it was pretty good. And trying to get a couple other guys on, but it was a good tournament. I don't know what it was, but I was just like, every time Davey and Ronnie and Tommy started talking about how amazing the fishery was, because all these elite anglers were catching the limit. I'm like, the limit's 12. And I had a big, long text conversation with Gene Gilliland. I'm like, why is the length limit 12 inches? Is there, because I thought maybe there was a reason. Like, I didn't know what the length limit was for smallmouth or for spotted bass or whatever. Sometimes spotted bass is 12 and largemouth is 14 and a smallmouth is 15. So you go 15. Or sometimes smallmouth is 15 or 14 and spotted bass is 12, and there is either no definition for a mean mouth or there is a definition for a mean mouth, and you have to account for mean mouth coming in too. So I thought maybe there was a mean mouth something in play there, and that's what Gene said at first, was there was a mean mouth, that it helped decipher between a mean mouth and a small mouth, or a spot or a smallmouth, one of the two. And so I went back to him and I said, well, what's the length limit on spotted bass? And he said 14. And I'm like, what's the length limit on smallmouth? And he said 14. And I'm like, then it makes no difference. It makes no difference. Why are we doing 12 inches? And then at that point, he said, that's a Lisa question.
For the entertainment value.
And I'm like, and that's why, because we're getting towards the end of the season, and somebody hit it on the head and said points. You know, they want to make sure everybody catches fish so they get points.
Got a big break coming up.
They're going to catch fish. They're Elite Series anglers. The length limit should have been at least 14. At least.
They're showcasing lake. They don't go to 10 killer that often, and they're trying to.
It would have showcased.
It
would have showcased. The only thing it would have changed is there might have been 10, maybe 10 anglers that had one day where they didn't catch a 14 incher. The other 75, 70, whatever, they're all going to catch a limit of 14 inchers. They did. The average weight was 2.5 pounds.
Yeah.
So most of them did catch over 14-inch fish. So what, if there was a reason, if the folks at 10 Killer said, hey, Bass, please make it a 12-inch limit so that we can show every angler catching fish, I'm fine with that. I am fine with that. But let's not talk about it on live multiple times about how awesome it is catching. People can see they're catching a limit. It's on the screen. You don't need to talk about it.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
It'd be all right.
Stupid.
Oh, I felt so bad for Gerald because because Gerald and I are the same age.
Yeah. That was rough.
And that would have been something that I would do. You're just caught up in the moment, and he dropped that sixth one in the box, and I'm counting too because I'm watching it live on my phone, but I'm also watching it on TV. And the phone was a little bit ahead. I'm going, well, he just caught his fifth. And then it wasn't 30 seconds later when on the screen, on TV screen, when said, yeah, okay, I just screwed up, and called Lisa, self-reported. It's all good.
Yeah.
But he was right. I mean, he knew right then that he had screwed the pooch.
Yeah. It was
That-
tight enough. He knew a 2-pound penalty was going to cost him. And it did. That's a bummer.
Did you guys catch the video clip of the old boy reeling that smallmouth in, and he was on the port side of his boat when the smallmouth jumped in the starboard side of the boat?
Yeah,
Hank Cherry.
Isn't that something?
that was wild.
Did you watch it close enough? You can see when it happened. You can see when they switched. You can see his rod make a big jump, like largemouth on the right side or in front of the boat, fights it, largemouth in the front, fights it, goes under the boat. And when it's under the boat, you see the rod. He's fighting, and you see the rod do this. I mean, just boom.
Oh,
And then it comes up, and it's a smallmouth.
I was talking about the other deal where the guy's reeling the smallmouth.
Wasn't
in.
it Canterbury?
Yeah, Canterbury, and he's kind of out, and you can tell he's smallmouth fishing. He's reeling on the port side.
Oh, when he jumped in, yeah,
and the smallmouth jumped right over the top of the bow.
Yeah.
And lands on the starboard side for a minute.
Did you see the Hank Cherry one though?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that was even more.
Well, I was
bizarre.
so confused. I was so confused and trying to figure out what he was freaking out so much about at first, because it just didn't make any sense. I was like, "What's the big deal, man?"
That was amazing. Yeah, that fish had jumped on the side,
and then
back out.
Yeah.
And it was a good one too.
Yeah.
Scott's kind of been on a roll here lately. It's cool to see.
Yeah.
So to add insult to injury on my lockout of fantasy fishing that I still can't access.
You picked all the winners?
No, I couldn't pick anything. But
you were gonna pick all the winners.
No. That's good thinking, though. If I'd have been smart enough, I would have done that. I would have written those down. But no, I was still getting the updates that you get, like midnight after weigh-in.
Mm-hmm.
So it sends me an update how your fantasy team did today. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for the update. Appreciate
Why did you get locked out?
I'm wondering if maybe my email got spoofed again.
Oh,
because you mentioned the other day that when I sent you the links for the show that it went to your junk file or your junk drawer, and that kind of maybe that's what happened. So yeah, I can't get back into it. If I want to keep going, for the last 2 events, I'd have to create a new user. So heck with it. I'll concede the victory.
I'm still kind of mad.
I
I
didn't
missed that
finish
1 week.
I didn't finish much better than that, Danny.
Well,
zeros. And I picked a team.
that's not good.
I think I had the most points for the week this past week.
I mean, I had one guy that made the top 50.
Oh, wow.
One.
You picked a real bang up crowd then, didn't
Yeah.
you?
Well, Richard, that's good to know about Ronnie. Maybe I could message him. There's Jack Graves. See, I told you he wouldn't be on, and he's at Roaring River trout fishing. Devin told us earlier, dude, that you were just drinking and wading in the river. So
I'd
You
be
know.
okay with that.
That might be all right. Picks or it didn't happen, Jack, is what I'm saying.
That's right.
If you have one handy, message it to me and I'll see if I can get it on here tonight. So,
Dang.
so the Elite Series guys that are fishing NPFL just loaded up and drove down the highway to Eufaula to another high, muddy lake.
Yeah.
Does
I
that
think
start?
that one's going to be nasty.
Yeah. Does that start tomorrow? Or is tomorrow the off day?
I think it's Thursday. I think it starts Thursday.
Yeah, you're right. Today was the third day of practice. So, and then they do an off day. What else? BFL at the ditch was rescheduled. That was supposed to be this coming Saturday, and that's rescheduled to August.
That's probably wise.
Everything's full and more coming.
Oh, that does start tomorrow.
There's a Podunkers kids event this weekend on Grand.
NPFL does start tomorrow. It says the 18th.
I couldn't remember if they start on Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, there's a big Podunkers kids tournament. I heard Saturday. I think we got some rooms to clean, so I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that. I thought maybe about taking Noah, but
I told a friend of mine that I wasn't going back until they got the lake bound back down to partway normal. And that was the day after the Triple B. He goes, "Are you fishing the kids tournament?" I said, "I'll fish it if they can get it down to 44 or 45." But I don't care to take Max down there when it's at 50.
I'm catching them. Warren said he caught 25 pounds last night in a couple hours. I don't know whether
or not because his name wasn't announced.
I don't know whether it was him or I don't know whether I believe him or not, but that's what he said. Throwing a big crankbait on the points. And he said he didn't go far from his house. I said, well, me and Noah aren't doing that. We're not. I don't know where they're at. So, when you got 2 hours and 40 minutes to fish, you got to just go fishing.
You got to kind of fish the obvious a little bit.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I got 5 rooms to clean Saturday, so I'm not fishing that tournament. And we got the big high school, and a lot of the high school kids are checking in Saturday, so we got the TBF World Finals here next week. So
that starts the 24th.
Sometime in the, I don't know how they do it.
World Finals.
You
got a whole bunch of international kids
that you just enter. You don't have to qualify or anything. You just enter.
Oh, okay. Shoot them.
I mean,
it sounds like it's
the World Finals that you don't have to qualify for.
All right.
Oh, I'm not even going to say anything about that dude.
Randy Rocket?
No, he's like Mr. Rogers compared to that dude.
Yeah. Kyle probably has never met him.
Probably not. He is a he's a guy. He's a real dude.
He's not Bigfoot, then, is what you're saying?
No,
This-
Bigfoot's real. This dude I don't think is real.
I know it's not.
Speaking of Bigfoot, have you guys seen all these AI Bigfoot videos?
Yes.
Oh man, I'm just rolling. They just get funnier and dumber and stupider. It's awesome. I love it. And there's even, the Yetis in there too, and there's even Lady Bigfoot. Awesome stuff. Doesn't take a lot to entertain me.
The Bucky's one was pretty funny.
That was good.
It was pretty hilarious.
What's also hilarious is I'm reading Jack Graves' comment here, and I think he's had a little bit too much eagle rare, not eagle rear.
Eagle rear.
Uh,
I read that comment and I thought, wow,
That's some good stuff.
eagle
The rare, not the rear.
he's getting some eagle rear.
Eagle rear, that sounds great.
Seen what they do to your
Oh.
car windshield. I don't want none of that near me.
Oh, Devin, there is no way I'm going to say his name 3 times. I'm not about to do that. Ever.
Yeah.
Moving right along to nearly anything else.
Yeah.
How'd you guys' Father's Day weekend go?
It was good.
It was good.
Mine was too.
Did you guys get anything accomplished at all? Anything?
Mm,
Not really.
No.
I mean, I fished on Saturday and then I went to church on Sunday, sang. Bree came down and we grilled steaks. Bree and Riggins came down and we grilled steaks and had a good time and just hung out together. And then she went home and went to the Humane Society and bought another Great Pyrenees dog.
yes.
She has 2 the size of Riggins now. The same age. Or well, Henry is the new one. And Henry's 3 years old and Riggins is 2.
You're going to have to build a sled.
We can't we can't dog sit anymore. We can't have 2 Great Pyrenees in the camper with us. I mean, it's barely fits us and Riggins.
Oh, just stick them in one of the rooms. Shut the door.
No.
Hell, put them in that laundry room back there.
They shed. We try to keep them out of the lodge as much as possible. I'm gonna have to if we want a dog sit, I'm gonna have to build an outdoor dog run and some dog houses.
Okay, Dad. Well, you just get that done.
Yeah.
Then you might maybe attract some guys in the wintertime that decide they want to come down and
Maybe.
See?
They're just on their way through with their dogs coming to the great state of Kansas to shoot some imaginary bird that we don't have, or you never know. Duck hunters, guys that like duck hunting on the Neosho River in the wintertime.
Yeah. It's a good idea.
Yep. Just one of the great amenities of the Grand Lake Lodge.
Hmm.
Boom.
Yeah.
Well, that was my weekend. So next,
I didn't do a whole lot. Just a pretty regular weekend.
Yeah.
Smoked some ribs on Sunday and had band practice on Sunday. We have a show on Friday this week. So
Where's your show at?
in Hutch.
Nice.
We're out.
Are you going to try to like?
At the Axe It Up Hutch place, axe throwing place.
Oh, cool.
It's their last big deal because they're shutting down at the end of the month.
Are you going to break the sound barrier there too, or what's the?
Oh
plan?
yeah,
I
I
hope
mean,
so.
yeah.
That's kind of dangerous to be growling while somebody's trying to throw an axe.
You gotta let out some steam, John. Two
And
great
it's
ways.
across the street from one of the breweries in Hutch, so that would be a good time.
Yeah.
Hold
that
my beer and
Saturday?
watch this.
Friday, 8:00.
Hold my beer and watch this.
All ages.
I don't know about that.
That was always
You get to a certain point. I'm not for sure if you want to hear that or not.
something I'm not sure I ever understood that axe drinking beer and throwing axes thing.
The places
mean,
I've been
insurance-
that
the insurance itself has got to be
Yeah.
enough to not make you any money.
the places I've been to throw axes that serve alcohol, you only get like 2 drinks. They are very strict with you only get 2. That's
Okay.
it. So I think that's how they mitigate some of that risk, but still, what if somebody shows up and has had 10 already and they should get their 2 there?
Well, you just
Interesting.
ruined my plan.
Well, I
And
didn't-
it's
Danny-
married couples too.
yeah.
Just take a flask.
That's right.
What are you holding, Kiki? I mean, you just like a little kid waiting to
gecko.
show us something.
I'm not really. I'm just fiddling with a kid toy.
I didn't know it was show and tell week.
It's a 3D. My brother-in-law's girl 3D printed a whole bunch of stuff and give it to the kids, and this is
Oh,
one.
cool.
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
Can they start printing like baits?
Oh, I'm sure she could. Yeah, that 3D printer is not real big, but it's really neat.
It's big enough to make baits.
It is. Yeah, this is probably 6 or 7 inches long. Yeah.
Just need some hooks.
Yeah, maybe like a strength and agility test. I don't know.
Oh, Devin.
Fastful eagle rear.
I haven't drank with Devin for a while, so we need to get on that. Kyle, would you answer Brian Head there?
I mean, me personally, I hate to break his heart, but I haven't been over there in a while. I fished one tournament there this year so far, and that's really, really unusual of me, and I'd hate to even admit that. Usually I fish Big Hill quite often, but I haven't, just schedules and different things haven't worked out. And generally speaking, Big Hill fishes pretty good in the spring. This year, this go around, it's been, from what I can tell, the tournament results have been extremely poor. So, maybe the lake's in a little bit of a decline. I will tell you that a few years ago, about 3 years ago, the lake was low for about 2 years, and it fished pretty good. I mean, the fish weren't in their normal places that guys caught them in because they were dry. And then when the lake came back up to normal, the fishing it kind of went downhill. And it took a better part of 6 months for it to adjust. I don't think they're doing Thursday night jackpots over there. At
Yeah,
least
they are.
If they are, I don't know who's running them, and they don't post weights and they don't tell who wins. So
I mean, they're doing them. They send a,
It's a secret.
I don't know who's doing it because I don't know the numbers, but whoever's doing it must be either in the Cherryville Club or in the ABA group that fishes, because that same group text that I get from Terry, I get that same group text from somebody saying Thursday night jackpot and what time it starts and how much it is. But they don't post, like I said, they don't post the results the next day or anything. So I don't know how they've been doing on Thursday nights.
Wonder how they picked those phone numbers to text. Like random luck of the draw, I guess.
I mean, it's easy. I don't know. Do you get
Lottery.
the club? Do you get the club one?
Yes.
I think it's the same. Like somebody just replied to that text, so you should have got it.
I don't get that one.
If you got the last text, the last club text that said club tournament on, where were we? Big Hill, that nobody showed up to. Yeah, it was Big Hill. It was Big Hill. It was me and Terry that showed up. But that same text, the night before, or the night, that Thursday or that Wednesday, somebody texted replying to that text saying Thursday night or whatever.
So don't know the results, don't know how many fish is that, and don't have any idea if they're doing any good or not.
Right.
But
Mark Moody says Mike Howarder's running it.
interesting. That might explain a little bit of why they're not getting posted.
Yeah, maybe.
And that's I'm
Nice.
not casting a shadow at Mike. He's a hell of a nice guy, but
Nice Mike Howarder.
nice Mike. But Brian, the lake's just,
I mean,
I don't know. I don't know
what Brett had.
road,
Brett had 15 or 14.
and he had a
Win
good.
the Becky Minor thing, and I had 12 or 13. 13. I had 13 something.
Yeah,
You guys had 12. I mean, that's about what it's been taking.
it's just the weights are just kind of mediocre over there.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't seen a 20-pound bag.
No.
Just kind of mediocre.
I mean, Cody had 17, I guess, last ABA. But the second place was like 12.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know what the shocking results have posted, or I don't know much about that. I haven't really looked into it. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see the water over there come down just a little bit too.
Maybe it needs to stay where it's at for a couple years, and then it'll get better. Get some spawns up in the grass and stuff.
You've been over there more recently than me. Is some of that nasty grass in the pockets going away yet?
Going away.
Good.
I mean, it was. Yeah, it was. I mean, it's still there. It was still there when we had the club tournament the other day. But I think it's going away. So
Well, you talk about a weird, evasive.
that is weird. We need to have Gene on and ask about that.
What is it?
I have no idea what it is.
It comes from it grows from the bottom, and it's not.
When it's cold,
Yes, when it's starts in
like in February,
February,
it starts
late
growing
February,
and
it's
grows so
like
much it
skin.
chokes everything out.
It doesn't really pad up on the top very much. It just like real super thick, and it doesn't, like once it hits the surface of the water, it kind of seems like it just kind of quits growing a little bit. I don't know. It's weird.
And then about mid-May, it starts to die off. And
So
by the
it's like
time
a colder water thing that.
it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really strange grass, and
And the fish don't get in it.
They might. I don't know. It's just extremely hard.
Hard
hard
to
to fish.
fish. I would think so. I wouldn't know why not, but
Me neither, but it's spread them out. Either there's only one bass per pocket, or it's got them so spread out that they're so hard to fish for
yeah.
that it just like shrinks their strike zones. You know, I mean, the one tournament I fished over there or something, I threw a chatterbait 950,000 times and caught 3 bass.
Hmm. Yeah.
Didn't they go back to a slot?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, and on another trait of that grass, you get up in dingier water and it doesn't grow.
Yeah, it's not bad where I fish.
North of the bridge. I mean, but that is
It's true.
a very solid trait of that, whatever that vegetation is it if it's dirtier water, it no likey.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Weird. I don't know I don't know what the slot limit is
I can't tell you right off the top of my head. I'd be wrong.
because we just fish for bass pass fish or paper fish. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. Bone Creek's got a lot of grass.
And the fish do like it.
Mm.
My
I like that.
partner, speaking of Bone Creek, my partner, we had a great day. I fished with that Tyler. But my partner, you know, I'm going down the bank, throwing a frog. I guess they've been catching them on frogs on the Thursday nighters. And I couldn't get a dang frog bite, but I threw it quite a bit. And I knew there was a few being caught on it. So I was just hoping. I was throwing a regular frog and my partner was throwing a popping frog. And I was fishing towards the bank and we were in a flat. We were on a flat where it wasn't very deep. It was like 4 feet deep across this flat. And I was throwing towards the water willow and between the boat, the grass and the water willow. And he was throwing out the other side. And I heard this giant blow up. And he hooked it. And I'm like, this kid's got a giant. A giant. And it jumped twice. It was way out there. It jumped twice. And I'm like, this is a giant. This is like a 7-8 pound fish. And I'm like, holy crap. And then it got about 10 feet from the boat and jumped again. It was a catfish.
Oh, wow.
Like a 7 pound catfish. Blew up, ate a frog.
And jumped out of the water.
And jumped twice, 2 or 3 times. Like
Man,
wasn't rolling, he was acting like a dang bass. And we both thought it was a bass till I had the net and I'm like, that's a catfish, Tyler. And he's like, what? Broke his heart.
Goodness, I couldn't. There was a guy, well, I can't imagine if Craig Bassford would have caught that fish in a night tournament. That would have been a 15 pounder and he would have lost it. And oh my God, that would have been a good story.
Yeah. I believe the same day, Dominic said they were catching big cats on spooks. I believe the same day Brian said he had a big catfish blow up on a spook. Caught a catfish. So I don't know what it is about those catfish in Bone Creek, but they like topwater.
Man, I can remember a lot of rainy evenings out there, you know, Thursday nighters and stuff. There'd be guys all the way at the backs of the creeks that were getting water in, and they'd have like a bucket full of fresh crawdads and just literally be seining them out of the backs of the pockets.
Yeah.
I got a good catfish story for y'all. It's kind of a spoiler alert, you know. Obviously, it was a catfish, and not a largemouth.
I'm gonna see if I'm gonna try and pull a picture up of one of my catfish stories.
But there was a tournament a couple weeks ago down at Grand that, you know, you were supposed to catch a big bass and weigh it in. And so I was in a pocket, not very far back in a pocket, and I was throwing a 10-inch worm in a brush pile. 10 minutes prior to that, I had flipped this dock, and the next dock down had a couple of kids dunking minnows with their grandpa in a boat stall. And then one of the kids thought it'd be cool to get on one of them. He was maybe Max's age, maybe just a touch older, but he thought it'd be kind of cool to get on one of them knee board, paddle board jobs. I don't know what you call it. Little bitty thin, looked like a miniature surfboard with a paddle. I couldn't stand up on the daggum thing, but he sure showed me that it was really cool. He scooted all over that pocket. So I shot the boat over to a secondary point, had a brush pile on the end of it and about 12 foot of water, and I saw, while scoping, a really nice return in the middle of this brush pile. And it was just sitting there, and I thought, oh, baby, I've seen this happen before, and it's fixing to happen again, maybe. So I tossed that 10-inch worm, blue fleck power bait worm down there, and just literally popped it one time, saw that white return go down, and the next thing I know, I felt a ka-chow, and when I set the hook, my heart skipped a beat. Oh,
Ka-chow.
oh, it was the biggest, hardest bite I'd had all year. I mean, it just went bam.
Okay.
And so set the hook, and I'm giving it all she's got, trying to get this fish out of this brush pile. And I'm thinking to myself, now I've got to figure out how to get to the back of the boat to get the net. And I'm freaking out, scampering around, I probably look like Ike and Ellie up there, trying to drag this fish. And finally it dawns on me, you idiot, there is no way you've got a 9-pounder on. It's pulling way too hard, and it's swimming towards the middle of the pocket. So I just start wrenching on this fish. I mean, 7.6 heavy Denali flipping stick, and I'm just wrenching on him, just like that. And for about a split second there, I thought, if it is a bass, it's not coming undone now. And if it does, I guess I'm an idiot, but it came up, and it was about 9 to 12 pound flathead. So then
You'd already spent the money too.
I was my heart was dead, and I was exhausted when I got that fish in the boat. But I did actually look at the fish, and I said, you're not going back in this brush pile, and you're not going to ruin the rest of my day. So you're either going in the live well, and I'm going to put a knife on you tonight when I get home, or better yet, I'm going to scoot this boat back over to that boat dock, and I'm going to see if that young man wants this fish. So back across the pocket I go, fish in hand, and all of a sudden his eyes got about this big, and he starts hollering, you got a big flathead? I said, I sure do. And I said, you want to eat him for dinner? Oh, yeah. I go, perfect. I'm going to set him right over here. You could hear his grandpa over there going, I don't want to clean no damn thing. And as I just popped the thinking thing on the boat dock, said, here you go, guys. I'll see you later.
Good man.
No 10-pound flathead going to ruin somebody else's day.
Before I show John's thing that he just sent me, I'm gonna do mine because mine's gonna get dwarfed by John's story here. But so my flathead story was I was at Sterling. This was before Danny will remember when they had the fish die off a few years ago. And I started getting into wacky rigs on the spinning rods. So I was fishing around some grass edges, fishing my wacky rig, catching bass. Then all of a sudden I set the hook and I'm like, this is not a bass. And dang it, where's the I'm gonna pull the picture up here. And this was what I got in.
Nice.
Through the grass, fought it for like 20 minutes trying to get it out of the grass. It finally broke itself free and I got it to a bare spot to get it in on my spinning rod.
Nice. On a spinning rod.
Yep, 20-pound flathead.
It's crazy the colors that those suckers change depending on what color the bottom is.
Mm-hmm. All right, John. Now you can tell your story and show us all up.
Well,
pull up.
Mine was is this last fall? I don't know if it was last fall or maybe not this spring, but the last spring. I don't know. It was at Big Hill. And I had a co-angler. No, I was the co-angler. It was when I didn't have a boat. It was when my lower unit was gone. And it was an ABA tournament. And I went up and fished as a co-angler. And I flipped my tube in the beaver hut. And boom. I set the hook. And it was on. I thought I had a giant one for a minute. And then I realized I didn't. Well, I did have a giant one, but I thought I had a big bass for a minute. And then I didn't. And I fought it for probably 5 minutes. It was on his tube. I think it was 16 pound. I think it was 16 pound fluorocarbon. But finally got it in. And it was a 27 pound. I think 27 pound.
Nice.
Big old cat.
Them suckers are fun to catch when you want to catch them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And then I caught later that year, I was with my brother-in-law up there and I flipped a tube by a tree and felt this thunk, felt just like a bass hit. This is the first time this has ever happened. And it was just heavy and I'm like, dang, I got a catfish. But it wasn't rolling or nothing. And I finally pulled that sucker up and it was about close to a 20-pound snapping turtle, alligator.
Oh man.
Turtle. And I'm like, and my brother-in-law's son-in-law, who is from California and doesn't fish much, he nets it right away, like nets it. And I'm like, now what are you going to do? You got it in the net.
Yeah.
He's pissed. I'm like, I was just going to bite my line and let him go. And now he's in the net.
And in the boat.
Reminds me, I have two thoughts. First thought is you're fishing way too slow if a turtle can bite your tube. Second thought. The second thought is, did you guys see the guy that won the Elite Series, Wes Logan? Did you see him catch that snake and just casually take it off of whatever?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Rod, reel, everything would have been used as a weapon, and I'd have catapulted that sucker right back where he came from. He just casually just reeled his line in, and it's like, oh, ain't no big deal. And he boat flipped the snake and just jiggled it and listened to that, and then it landed on the front deck, and it's coiled up, and it just kind of just scoots off the front of the boat. I'm like, no.
Not
No.
to go back to the turtle and Big Hill, and I just had a thought about the fishing and why, and it's not as good as it's been. Do you think there could be a bait problem in Big Hill? Because that's not the first turtle. That's not the first turtle that has like chased my bait. Like, I'll see a turtle swimming and you can flip by them and they'll go after it. Like, almost like they're not enough bait that they got to go after fake bait now.
I don't have an answer for that. I would wonder, I mean, have you guys seen any fry balls over there?
I mean, I haven't been up there at the right time, I don't think.
I mean, I asked a couple of friends of mine if they've seen any, and nobody's said anything. Of course, I'm assuming the water's been.
I've seen fry down here.
You have? So have I. I saw some in the Triple B.
In the bushes, around the bushes.
I don't know.
I saw some tadpoles in our driveway yesterday.
Oh, jeez. That's wet.
Yeah.
You can tell him.
So, what? Oh,
Huh? You tell him. No.
Oliver.
What's he want to tell us?
Tell him.
What's up,
tell him.
Oliver?
Tell him good night. Yeah, you can. He says good night.
Good night, buddy.
Good
Say
night.
good night. Oh, now he says it.
So, I have an idea. Maybe we should have just had Dominic and Devin on tonight, and we could have just watched.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send a picture of the flathead I caught, or the blue I caught last year out of Grand, because I'm a really big cat fisherman down there.
I'm gonna put up your picture of the flathead you sent me already.
Well, I want you to put me and John's pictures of our fish together. This one I just recently sent you, and I want to see. I would like to know which one's bigger, because the
Pretty
one I
close.
caught last year was a freaking giant blue.
You didn't weigh it?
I don't have a scale. That
What?
works.
Don't have a rain suit. Don't have a scale. What the heck?
I don't have a scale that works.
God,
It got wet, and I haven't bought another one yet. I fished
like-
with a guy that offers all these great things, and I've officially taken it for granted. Okay, there's the answer.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna get it up here just a second.
I keep ducking and looking out the window because it's light
starting to
and then
build up again.
yeah, it's dark and then it's light and then it's dark and
Okay, here we go.
That's a good one.
I would venture to say those are pretty close.
And it was in the summertime, so I mean, it was kind of skinny, but
Let's see if I got a.
that one got hung on a tree and skinned.
I thought I had an up and down picture of that fish. But
Truthfully, that one almost got thrown in the pool when I got home because there was people in it.
you should have. You could have mudded him out a little bit.
Well,
I remember one time we did that when I was a kid. We got home from fishing and we got in the pool And then we ended up getting one of the fish out of the basket, and it got released in the pool. My dad was mad. He's like, "How are we gonna get that damn thing out?"
Hey, there was kids and women and everything else in that pool when I got home that day, and it was hot. And that
That would
fish
have been great.
was still alive. I'd kept him in the live well with the live wells running all the way back from Grand. I thought, just a thought crossed my mind, like, wonder what these people would do if I turn this sucker loose in there.
Just walk up real slow, and then all of a sudden just slip it over the side.
When I was a kid, my grandpa, he lived on a farm, and they had a bathtub. Maybe it was just a horse tank, but no, I think it was a bath. No, it was a horse tank. They had a horse tank that to water the horses,
Mm-hmm.
and my uncle they lived pretty close to the river, so my uncle was catfish, running trout lines or whatever all the time. And whenever he would catch 3 or 4, he'd just throw them in the horse tank.
Yeah.
And just clean them whenever they felt like having fish. There was like a big catfish in the horse tank all the time. Like every time I went over to the house, that was cool. As a kid, you go to the horse tank and see,
Yeah.
how big the catfish was that were in the horse tank.
Did they catch them out of the river or something, John, or where'd they?
Yeah, out of the
where they
river.
went?
Yeah, out of the river.
Was that the Meridazine or what?
No, this was up on like the Smoky Hill. They lived by Abilene.
Yeah, some little dirtier water.
Where's Abilene at?
By Salina,
Oh, okay.
northwest Kansas.
Mid
What?
Central.
Here we go.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, Salina's a haul. Okay.
Yeah, it's almost an hour.
Yeah. 45 minutes if you want to go fast.
Mm-hmm. Solomon's even further.
Northwest of Abilene.
Where's that lake that BK was talking about with that smallmouth?
Topeka.
Shawnee?
Topeka.
That was Shawnee, wasn't it? That's in Topeka.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's a little city lake kind of deal or what?
Yeah.
Mhm. I when I was working in Topeka a few weeks ago, I took some poles with me and fished it.
Did you
Ed
catch one?
Behrens used to fish there. Not Ed Behrens. Ed Campbell used to fish there all the time.
DB, what were you talking about the other day about Mazingo? Was that you talking about
Somebody said we need to make a Mazingo.
Kyle Cranker had a good idea. We needed to have a what do we call this thing? Idle Zone Syndicate trip to Mozingo.
Maybe we should just do an Idle Zone jackpot with all of our viewers too.
Yeah. I'm good with that.
So I was trying to find Mozingo. Like I didn't just type in Google Mozingo Lake or whatever. I'm just scrolling around on the map, and it looks like it's a little bit south and east. Like, is that in Missouri? I guess.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was north of Kansas City.
Well, maybe I found the wrong one.
Maybe
What's it actually called? Is it a county
Mazingo.
lake?
I think it is. It's either a city or county in Pelham. It's about the same size as Big Hill.
But it's kind of like Wilson County State Lake. People call it Buffalo.
Right.
Okay.
So is it the one that's straight like north of St. Joe?
I believe so.
Okay.
See,
It's pretty close to the border, like the tri-state border.
I was looking at
right there.
I was looking at the wrong. I was an idiot then. I was looking at the wrong one.
Yeah, almost to Iowa, Devin says.
Yeah. I see
There's
it here.
another. There's a good one right across in Iowa too, not far from there, called Little River. I fished there in the first stop of our 100 fish challenge last year and got a really good start on the challenge. Got like 30 fish.
Oh, good. Thanks, D. We got some GPS waypoints now.
Okay.
What else were we going to talk about?
Devin Pino sent me the coordinates to how to get there.
Oh,
That's pretty
Well,
easy
that's-
for you. You just go. It's literally straight north of you.
Yeah.
You might have to go back to the west like 4 miles.
I think Jesse Jordan said he was going to take me up there on a guide trip sometime.
Ooh.
well, we'll just all ride with Jesse then.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Justin.
There we go.
I couldn't think of Marysville.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That might be a good time.
Okoboji be a good trip too.
Which one is that?
Okoboji.
I don't
It's
know.
in
where that's at.
Iowa.
Oh, okay.
It'd be a good trip too. It's almost to Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
It's at the upper end of Iowa.
I see it.
That'd be good.
That's got a crap load of docks on it. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of in the summertime. It's a big time tourist lake for up there. You know, it's
So let's change it up for just a minute. I want to talk about fish and tackle.
Yes.
What's each one of your guys' top couple, 2 or 3 or 4 baits to throw in the month of June when it starts getting, everything is pretty much post spawn, right? Traditionally the water is warmer, but this year it's been a little bit lagging. And let's just say it's not in the bushes. Okay. We're not just flipping bushes like we have all year already. So whoever wants to go first, what's your guys' favorite few 2 or 3 baits to throw in June? Because June is my favorite month to fish.
I'm looking for cattails. Because I'm gonna flip not a jig. I'm flipping in the cattails. Or frogging around the cattails. Or swim jigging around the cattails.
America.
Okay. Shala.
Mm-hmm.
What if there's no cattails?
Well,
Go home.
yeah, just go pack up and go find another place to fish.
Pack it in.
Not really. I'll go find I don't know, not deep brush, but brush that's deeper, like maybe 5 to 8 foot. Not shallow, but not deep. I like flipping bushes, not bushes like you're talking, the bank bushes, more brush piles, I guess.
Try to go
Like in the middle of pockets and stuff like that.
Cool.
And also, I agree with Devin, the Glida.
The Glide.
Mm-hmm. You know what? You ask these questions, and I don't get to fish enough. I just like going fishing. I'm gonna throw a buzzbait too. That's what I'm gonna do.
I'm going to throw the Pat Schlopper buzzbait.
I've been throwing the crap out of that thing, and I haven't caught a fish yet. I mean, I have not had a blow up on it, but haven't had a blow up on any buzz baits. Like, it's just weird. Caught a few frog fish, but I mean, I guess since I just started talking, I'll go. I'm gonna throw a Carolina rig if I'm gonna fish the points. I'm gonna fish the same kind of the same areas that I fish all the time. I just fish them a little different. Like, I'll fish a lot of docks, and I'll fish way behind them or way in front of them. And I'll throw a tube, and I'll throw 10-inch and a 7-inch worm, like Mark Moody said. I'll throw a buzz bait in the mornings, maybe a spook. And that's pretty much it. But right now I'm flipping bushes.
I mean, you better have to fish the obvious right now. I get that.
But it's not easy because the water's so far high up that they're way back in there too. So trying to find points that don't have bushes way back in there. Like, if you can find a point where the bushes are, like, it's a long point where you can see from when you're on one side of the trees, you can see the other side. Those trees are what I'm fishing in, like, 6 feet of water. But I'm also throwing a Carolina rig and maybe the occasional crankbait, but usually a Carolina rig out further out on that same point, you know, where the bushes are. That's what I'm doing. But I'll catch a lot of big fish behind the docks this time of year. So, you know, if they weren't in the bushes, I'd be behind the docks.
Dominic's just dying for an answer out of me.
Danny, go ahead then. Make him wait some more.
I don't even remember fishing.
Sounds like I need to take off work and just come get you.
Please.
Oh, before Danny gets started,
I got nothing.
I do have kind of a new one. I don't throw it that the last 2 weeks, including the big bass, including the one I got my check on. I caught that big fish on a Nico rig, not on a spinning rod, on a Nico rig. And I have caught a bunch of other fish on that thing this last 2 weeks.
That's it. I'll be right back.
So, this
But like skipping docks.
This time of year, I like skipping docks too with a jig or whatever. But if we're going to just avoid the docks, it's hard to put a Carolina rig down. It's also, for me, honestly, I'm not going to preach this to everybody, but a great big stand-up shaky head.
Mm-hmm. I got one of them tied on.
The what I call the adult version,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
1/2 ounce, 5/0 hook, Magnum shaky head.
Yeah, I'll throw that if we're in the Carolina rig fish, I'll throw that to show them something different.
Yeah. I also like a 5XD and a 6XD, and I love deep cranking. I don't even really crank the crankbait that deep. I like digging a trench with my deep crankbait, and I like catching them on a whopper plopper or top water in the morning, but I haven't been able to make that work at all. I had one day down at Grand, I guess it was the Monday of Memorial Weekend, so Memorial Day. I did actually catch a couple of whopper plopper fish, but that's the only topwater bite I've got all year. And I haven't caught any on a frog this year at all, none. And I've thrown it, and I guess I'm about done with it. And then, you know, a 10-inch worm, I love throwing a 10-inch worm. It's probably one of my favorite things to do. So I really like flipping docks. I flipped some docks a couple weeks ago down at Grand and found a fry garter that I swung and missed on 3 different times. That was the dumbest thing in the world. But when it's not your day to locate the fry ball, see the fry garter, flip in there, watch the fry garter eat your bait and missing 3 different times, then you might as well just move on. So, I like throwing a flutter spoon too. And there's not a ton of people that like doing that, but I don't mind it. I've kind of been periodically picking it up and flinging it around. I don't really know what I'm doing with it, but I do enjoy using it and trying it. I definitely don't probably throw a glide bait as much as I should, but instead I throw a extremely heavy Scottsboro tackle head that I bought a ton of when I was at Guntersville years ago. And I've been buying those, the non-rigged Megabass mag drafts and putting those on those. It's just a 3/4 ounce jig head with a big meaty hook on it. And I like throwing those around when they get in brush piles and there's shad around. And I feel like maybe I can throw that and not get it hung up as easy as I can cranking a 6XD down there or something, you know. You can kind of control the depth of it a little bit easier than you can a crankbait. So I like doing that. And I also saw my butt get completely handed to me on that very same lure setup at Stockton a couple years ago in the fall. A very reputable father-son duo won a 2-day championship over there doing that very same thing. So
there you go.
I'd like to go back to Guntersville just so I can go back and check out that Scottsboro tackle again. That was a really cool small tackle store, but had everything in there. I didn't see a single thing in there that had dust on the package.
Yeah.
Like they got everything in there you're going to buy and you're going to take out and you're going to catch a bass on.
Yep.
So, it's a cool place.
All right, Danny. What'd you go get? Thought you went and got a lure.
Oh, no. No, I had to, I was indisposed.
You know, Chris, I agree with you as far as the shallow crankbait 8 to 10. Maybe he's talking about throwing a worm an 8 to 10 foot, or maybe he's talking about throwing the worm and the flutter spoon an 8 to 10 foot,
or 8 to 10 inch worm.
Whatever he throws, he's catching.
Me personally, I'd like to go out with somebody and see how they utilize the flutter spoon. And I know there's a lot of flutter spooning going on. At Grand, there's a lot of flutter spoon throwers, John.
Yeah, I know.
A lot.
But
and they catch fish on it. They catch a pile of fish on them.
Yep.
The question I have is, I think I look so stupid up there doing it. And I think I'm just like overworking it or something. But I mean, I catch a few on it here and there, catch some white bass on it, catch some crappie on it. Maybe I need to go bigger.
Yeah.
But you think about it, I mean, Grand is one of those lakes, and I know Dardanelle's got to be similar. I mean, it just seems like the fish that we catch a lot at Grand are all just so shad oriented. So shad oriented. You know, like let's think about Bone Creek for just a minute. And or Big Hill even. Like Bone Creek, it's no secret, one of the absolute probably best all-time colors at Bone Creek is green pumpkin.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because the main thing out there is either some sort of little brim or a crawdad, and they just don't even hardly. I mean, you can catch them on a crankbait, but it doesn't excel like a lot of the other lures do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Grand is just all it. You know, never fails. You can use a shad imitator down there and get a bite.
Yeah.
I think you could even flip the bushes with a white creature bait and catch them.
I heard that.
Was that your stomach rumbling?
I thought somebody's hungry or it's thundering. One of the two.
Thundering. And that lightning was pretty sharp.
Well, are we going to do the Kyle's favorite memory? I know, Danny, didn't you have one? Didn't you turn one in?
I sent in 3.
Oh,
Let me see if I can. Should we do one of yours? Or should we pull up
let's do
one El Diablo?
Oh, do Mike's.
Let me find it. I got to figure out which one is which here.
My gosh, guys, that storm I'm looking at, it goes from Medicine Lodge, Kansas, clean over to Ottawa on 169.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And it's got this big old huge hook, and it's like El Dorado and Winfield don't have anything over the top of it right now.
Let me see.
We're just lucky.
mm-hmm.
You guys have been getting it all day, though.
All right, I got Mike Turner's pulled up. Yes.
All right. So
This is
explain to everybody what we're doing here. Remind them.
Yep. So what I would like you guys to do is, if you have a chance, just record just a brief video. I know I said 30 seconds to a minute, but I know, if it goes 2 minutes, so be it. But just record yourself telling your quick story of one of your favorite fishing memories, and then we'll make another post and put it on our Facebook. To email it to me, and we'll try and play. I think we're going to do one a week, are we not? Is that what we're going to do?
We can do
If
one
not,
or two
one
or
or-
three.
one or two
Whatever
a
we
week,
got
whatever.
time for.
We're going to do a little segment every week with them.
Whatever
So,
we got time for.
yep.
Depends on.
So,
I mean, if you start getting them, then we may need to do more than one a
yeah.
week.
Yep. So, but that's kind of the goal. We'll do a little segment every week and play a few of them every week if we can. So, but this one is submission from Mike Turner.
This is good.
Barrett, you asked for one of my favorite fishing stories. We were team championships down at Toledo Bend a few years back. Headed down there with Alex Torkelson, whose grandmother makes the best chili in the world, by the way. And he swings on a big fish that he completely misses, and that happens.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Alex Torkelson.
Right in the corn nuts.
Right in the corn nuts. That's beautiful.
The question that I have for Mike is, did he give the lure out or did Alex? That's
Oh, me. That's funny. That was a good one. was a good one.
And he was talking fast enough that he got that in less than 10. And
Yeah, that was good. That's
Mhm.
nothing like mine.
wow.
Well, he's a TV guy.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true.
Really? That's cool.
You didn't know that? he's,
Dude,
he's
I live 4.5 hours east of you.
well, he lives in
Way out of
Topeka.
the cool zone.
He lives in Topeka. He's like the station manager or something for WIBW. Anyway,
I think I can answer Justin's question, or at least you probably can too, Kyle. Kyle and Kyle. You probably can too, Danny. Don't want to leave you out, but I mean, my granddaughter and I have been fishing, for probably 5 years now, 6 years now, little tournaments, and she's getting better and better every year. And last year started using a bait caster and a better rod, getting more confident where she wants to do that stuff. And the first question is, smaller lakes are going to be typically easier to catch fish on. I mean, just, your Bone Creeks, your city lakes, and those are great places to build confidence. And you can't get discouraged when you go to a bigger lake, but it is different. It's the one thing I will tell you about going from a small lake to a big lake is don't think you have to change how you fish. Like, you hear a lot of talk about how they're catching them on flutter spoons on Grand Lake. Well, don't go out and try to catch them on a flutter spoon, because if you don't know how to do it, you don't know how to do it, right? If you know how to catch them on a tube, like I do, I'm not going to go throw a flutter spoon. I'm just not. I'm going to do something I'm comfortable with. Like last night when I took Noah out there, I wasn't going to go on a point and have him drag a Carolina rig or throw a 6XD where, I'm thinking we can catch some fish doing that, but it's not going to be, it's something that he's not used to doing, where he can flip a brush hog in a bush or throw a little spinnerbait or something by a bush. And he ended up we went and ran a marina dock, and he was throwing that spinnerbait by a marina dock and caught a fish. So do what you're comfortable doing. Don't change up a bunch, but just understand that a big lake is typically going to be a little bit more difficult to catch than your local city lake, that doesn't get a lot of, most of your city smaller lakes aren't getting the pressure that Grand Lake is getting, or Bone Creek when it's got 20 boats on it. And second question, what lure can I put in her hand that will build her confidence? In my opinion, hands down, especially on those smaller lakes, put a Senko in her hand and let her throw that. Weightless, if there's a lot of grass, where it's going to get gunked up with grass or moss, throw it weightless. If there's not, you can throw it Texas rigged. You can throw it, I call it a flick shake, but wacky rig with a weighted, jig head is what I call a flick shake. But most of the time with my granddaughter, I've got weedless Senko, weightless, maybe with a nail weight in it or something like that at your smaller lakes, and that'll build your confidence because they'll eat it and eat it good. My opinion.
I think the only thing I'd add is like when I first started, like in the club level stuff, I had never fished big lakes before that. And so when I started doing that, even though I was a co-angler, we would fish by areas. And I'm like, oh, well, I've fished stuff like this before from the bank. Well,
Mm-hmm.
why should I not just fish it the same way I've been fishing it and catching fish?
Yeah.
And so find things that you're used to fishing on smaller lakes, on the big lakes, and try those same things because it's more than likely going to work.
Yeah.
If you're doing the same things as the same areas, it's all the same.
Yeah. And Dominant brings up a good point. All that stuff you can throw on the same rod and reel that I was talking about, throwing the, Senko. You can throw all that stuff that Dominic is listing. And a Kitech swim bait's another good one,
That's a really good one.
Swim it through the grass and stuff like that in these smaller lakes. And it's easy. You just cast it out and let her reel it back in,
The Kitech's a really good big lake bait too.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything to add there, Kyle?
Well, truthfully, I think a small lake is easier to break down, right? I mean, let's take Big Hill, for example. It's 1,500 acres. You can break it down pretty quickly if you just, fish one bigger pocket on Big Hill rather quickly. You can see if they're in the backs or the mids or the fronts or wherever they're at, kind of deal. And then, you take Grand Lake, which is a bigger lake, for example. It's 50,000 acres. And, I mean, shoot, Big Hollow is bigger than Big Hill is, So, in my opinion, if I were to have good success, and I do, I'm the same way. I have pretty decent success at, let's say, Big Hill, for example. And then I struggle at Grand more times than not. And I think one of the reasons why is because I'm trying to spread out too much and I need to maybe just hunker down in a little area and just fish.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it from numerous pros down at Grand that there's 20 pounds in every big creek in that lake. And so if I was struggling to catch fish at Grand, maybe it's one of those deals where you just need to hunker down and let's, say Honey Creek, for example, and just go fishing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point.
Try to break it
not
up.
The fish in Honey Creek aren't swimming to the dam. There's no reason for them to. There's plenty of deep water. They can go up and down, toward the back of the creek, towards the front of the creek, whatever. There's no reason for a fish to, they're not. They're just not. You don't need to, like you said, you can break down an area and you can even make it smaller than that.
And then
even within Honey Creek, there's
you can fish under the bridges and that's it or whatever, and as far as the second part of the question, I was thinking the same as what Dom kind of commented. I mean, when I take my 7-year-old, we started fishing. I started taking him with me a few years ago, and the first thing I ever tied on his rod for him to throw was actually a 2.8 Kitech on a 1/4 ounce jig head and a Ned rig, and those two baits on a Snoopy rod caught him fish. So a spinning rod is a good all around. Something maybe a little bit stiffer spinning rod, not necessarily real limber, but just a little bit on the stiffer side, faster action. I like it. When Big Hill was at its toughest, when I was in high school, and the lake was in a really, really nasty downhill slide and was cycling really bad, and it was 11 pounds won numerous club tournaments when there was, 20 active members that were fishing those tournaments. I don't know how many bass I caught on a 7-inch trick worm on a shaky head with a spinning rod.
Yeah.
I mean, you can ask some of the guys that are still around to this day, like that's the only thing they would ever see me throw for a couple years was literally a green pumpkin shaky head, a little trick worm on a 1/4 ounce jig head. And I don't know how many bass I caught on that stupid thing.
Yeah. And I would say, I don't know how old your daughter is, Justin, but I would, if she's old enough, I would steer away from the Snoopy and the Barbie poles and all that, just because they're not. She's going to struggle reeling in even a small fish, and so if you can get an affordable spinning rod, you can also get what I have bought the last 2 years. What I've bought my grandkids. And they're not real cheap, but they're $100 combo, and it's a high end, I think it's an Abu. It might be a Zebco, but it's it's a spin cast reel. It's like the old Zebco 33 or whatever, but a high end one, like you see the professional crappie guys using these reels. They're not going to get tangled up. They're easy to cast. And you can get what they call, I think it's Abu Garcia. They have a combo called the Bullet, and it's like $100, rod and reel, but it's a good rod and it's a good reel. And in fact, my dad, who was just here and is not a fisherman, I recommended him and his buddies buy one of those if they're not used to throwing bait casters or spinning rods. And a couple of them bought them and they loved them, and they caught good fish on them. They're strong and they're stout and they're, medium heavy rods. They're not just wimpy little rods. And if you can afford that, I would recommend getting something like that. And then they're going to naturally want to throw something better. Like last year was the first year Amelia was getting frustrated, wanting to throw some of the other lures that I'm throwing. And she picked up a bait caster, one of my bait casters, and wanted to learn it. And so I stopped what I was doing and, adjusted the gears and all that. So she wasn't going to backlash right away. Walked her through it. And it took her, once you get to the age where they're really comprehending and wanting to learn and everything, they pick it up pretty darn quick, because it took her less than a day. And that's all she wants to throw is a bait caster. And her dad had several bait casters in the garage, and they're now hers. And, she's throwing a bait caster. She on a good rod, a good rod, and it's making a difference in her casting and her being able to hook up better and get more fish in. So you just kind of take it step by step, start them off. She started off on, with the Snoopy rod and all that stuff, but it just wasn't long. It wasn't even a season, and you're more frustrated with those rods than you are, they want to reel in a fish. And when they can't reel it in because it won't come in, then they get frustrated.
I think one thing the tackle industry is lacking is, like it took me a while at Bass Pro this spring to find a rod that matched Max's size.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to get him in a bait casting combo. It took me quite a while to find a 6-foot bait casting combo.
Yeah. So I had one. I had an Ike series. It was a cranking rod, but it was a medium. It was a medium rod, and it was like 6'2", and it was perfect. I gave it to her, and like you said, it was a perfect size, and they are hard to find.
That's
You,
just
we
like,
don't throw them. We don't. So you either got to go buy one, or I just happen to have one that was old and I didn't use it anymore.
You can find the 6'6", but it's not easy finding the 6-footers.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, honestly, like I was at Bass Pro in Springfield,
Mm-hmm.
and there was maybe like 3 or 4. Once we found them, I was like, oh, this is going to be perfect. And it was the best decision I'd made.
Yeah.
Far for him was graduating him to something that, like you said, he can reel and actually get some line in. And
Mm-hmm.
because with those other rods and stuff, he was missing fish or he was getting hung up on the bottom because he just literally couldn't reel his bait in fast enough.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's another Dominic. Another couple good baits. I mean, whopper plopper, something like that, like a popper, like a spitting popper, something that they can, if they're eating topwater, like I remember taking my kids to Bone Creek and they were eating topwater. You could put a popper on there. And like Dominic says, if they're not real quick at engaging the reel, or, a fish might eat it and be swimming off with it before they even get it engaged, but they still got them, right? So good baits.
Yep. Is Danny taking shelter or?
No. It's already past us now, I think. From what I can see. On the radar anyway.
And we're already past 2 hours too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's about that time for me, probably.
Yeah, I got to get up early too.
But all right. I don't know if he's coming back or not.
Good thing Bigfoot can swim.
That's exactly right.
That hair might drag him down a little bit. It does me.
Yeah.
We do have a scheduled guest for next week.
Oh.
A confirmed guest.
Yes, that's right.
I don't know if Danny's coming back. Is he coming back?
I don't know.
That's awful rude of him not to say goodbye.
I can't really text him because his phone's videoing, so he won't see it.
Oh.
Well, if his phone's videoing and he left his phone on.
Oh, he's back. He's got to talk about him when he shows back up.
We thought you were taking shelter.
Oh, nah. I would never do that. I would be the one with the phone in my hand holding out the window while the nader went by. And I've done that.
Yeah, me too. We were just getting ready to sign off.
Did we talk about next week?
We didn't. We were waiting for you to get back. We do have a guest, a scheduled guest, as long as nothing changes, and this is going to be a good one, I believe.
This will be a not miss.
I'll have to be on my best behavior, and I'll probably take the Bigfoot down.
I don't know. We should ask him if he believes in Bigfoot. You might be surprised what he says.
I don't know if I would be surprised at anything he says. But
yeah,
everything that he says, I just kind of Just soak it in.
Guys, next week we have scheduled to be on the show. He's actually coming on to make a big announcement. So you don't want to miss the one and only Mr. Rick Clunn coming on the show.
That's
So,
going to be awesome.
should be a good one. And don't tune in late because I don't know how long we'll have him.
Yeah.
We might have him for an hour. We might have him for 45 minutes or a half an hour, but I think he'll be with us for an hour. But you don't want to tune in late.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already nervous.
I'm gonna go take cover with the kids.
Agreed.
Dommy says it's coming our direction, so batten down the hatches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
I don't think any of the big stuff's really, it's going to go south of you guys so far, but
I got like looks like we're supposed to have some stuff hit right when we're supposed to be launching
Yay.
tomorrow.
Good times.
Cranker.
Guys, thanks for watching. Man, don't miss next week. And be early. Start commenting at 6:59. Let's go home.